that this is a formal meeting. Members of the public will be given an opportunity to speak during public open session, but not at other times. The meeting is being filmed, and by being present, attendees are deemed to have agreed to be filmed and to the use of those images and sound recordings. I can advise that attendees should not disclose any personal information of individuals, as this would infringe the data protection rights of that individual. Please mute your microphones when not speaking. Thank you. So we have no apologies for absence because everybody's here. Do we have any declarations of interest, either pecuniary or non-pecuniary, in items on the agenda? Nothing? Okay, thank you. No declarations of interest. I don't have any announcements. Public open session. Do we have anybody online? Okay, so we move on from that. Any members' questions, please, colleagues? No, okay. I'm moving on to the minutes and recommendations of meetings. So the minutes of the Personnel Committee of the 4th of February. Sorry, I'm going on to the wrong thing. It is not the minutes of the 4th of February because we are the 4th of February. So I will start again, sorry. So it's the minutes of, it's with these things being on the backs of other papers, it's what's confusing me. So the minutes of the Personnel Committee of the 5th of November, which start on page 6. So accuracy first, anything on page 6? Page 7? Or page 8? If there's anything on page 9, we'll go through it later. So are there any matters arising from those minutes? Page 6, page 7, or page 8? So may I sign the minutes as a correct record? Thank you. So items for consideration. The first thing is the health and safety policy with the report on page 10. And then the document in full. So we're asked to approve the health and safety policy at this meeting. It came to the previous meeting and members had input as to what changes needed to be made and what should be done. And the officers have carried out all of those actions. So colleagues, comments, please. Councillor Strawn.
Thank you, Chairman. Could I just ask in connection with the comments about RIDOR? I don't recollect actually seeing anything about RIDOR in the policy about reporting, etc. Have I missed something, please?
Yes, it's in the report. So on page 11, we took advice from Peninsula and we are subject to RIDOR.
But should it be in the policy is the question, not whether I've noted that we are subject to RIDOR. The question is should it be in the policies at all?
So should the paragraph actually be added to the policy itself?
Yes, we could do. Yeah. That was
I suggest that it should be included because it's an important obligation on the council. And if we've got it in the policy, then it shouldn't be overlooked.
Okay. Like that in.
Any other comments, colleagues? So is anybody prepared to put a proposal forward? Councillor Strong.
Move we accept the policy with an additional section or paragraph with regard to RIDOR included of an appropriate nature.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. All those in favour, please. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. So then we come on to the second policy, which is a code of conduct. So we already have a member officer protocol, but this is a much more formal code of conduct based on the Nolan Principles of Public Life, which we are supposed to have as a council. And the document that's in front of you is based on NALC's draft, which is also based on the Local Government Association. And we know that the government is looking at making changes to the sanctions that might be available on the code of conduct, but we also understand that they are going to probably say that all councils should have the LGA code of conduct, i.e. this one, as their policy. That's what they're looking at. So over to you, colleagues. Councillor Knight.
Thanks. I mean, overall, I think the proposed policy is the content of it, or the meaning of it, I think is fine. I was a little bit confused at first because on the title page, page 47, it says it was adopted in February 2024. So I think that must just be. That was just a template.
Approved it tonight. I've just put that.
Right, fine, okay. And I guess my main comment on the actual text is I didn't like the mix of first person and third person, and it seems to jump all over the place from talking in the third person to I this, I that, I the other. And I really think before it can be made a formal policy, it needs to be consistently in the third person.
Is there a reason for that? Do we know? Because it struck me that the first person things were putting all of us as councils very much on the line to say, yes, actually, I do agree to that. But noting what you're saying, Councillor Strawn.
My comments are very much the same as Councillor Knight's and your own, Chairman. I think it just grated with me from the moment, and there are points where there's references to other parties involved as part of the code of conduct. I think it should be basically councillors will, etc., and just work it on that basis. I think the first person, I and you, etc., it just doesn't look right. So I'm not happy with it the way it's worded, but if members were happy with it to have, say, basically worded so the councillor and worded in that format, I have no difficulty with the code of conduct. It's just the way that it is phrased.
So are all colleagues happy with changing to councillors will? Yes. So we can make that change, please, Helen. Joe, sorry, Councillor Jones.
Thank you. Yeah, fully in agreement with that. I think the other thing while we're making changes, which would be great, is if we could be consistent, like we've spoken in other policies before, when we refer to officers and members rather than employees, just to be consistent throughout there. And then the other point, I got a bit confused as I went through because we talk about the monitoring officer, but in definitions, we don't define who the monitoring officer is. So if I've read over and not found it, I apologise. But when I went through, I did go backwards and forwards, but I couldn't find anywhere where it says who the monitoring officer is for us.
Well, the monitoring officer is the monitoring officer of Central Bedfordshire Council.
So
but
do we
I think
need
you're
to
quite right that should be explicitly stated.
Thank
at
you.
the first point that the monitoring officer is mentioned. Can we say of Central
Because
Bedfordshire
we've got
Council?
a paragraph, section 2 is all about definition. So we define there what a councillor is. So if we add it in there, that feels like a good place. Thank you.
It is actually mentioned later on, but Councillor Jones is correct. It's out of order. It's in Appendix B, the monitor officer of Central Beds, but it should come before, as you quite rightly say. Yeah.
So that's in definitions, please. We're all happy with that, I think, from all the nods around the table. Anything else, colleagues? No? So we've got those 3 changes. So we want councillors will instead of first or third persons. We want to refer to officers and members rather than employees. And we want the monitoring officer in the definitions at the beginning of the policy. With those changes, all those in favour, please show. That's unanimous again, thank you. So So I think you were right, Helen. You can put February 2024 on it.
Are we going to the council to approve it, or just approve it?
No, we do the policies, yeah. Okay, so no items for information. Anybody online, Funda? Nobody, okay. So may I have agreement to go into exempt session, please? Yes, we all okay? In that case, I close this part of the meeting.